Hello there. It is 10:17 a.m. March 25th. Just doing another knife review. This is the oh shit. Try to whip it closed, but it whipped open. This is the Cold Steel SR1 Tanto or Tanto. Overall 9.3 inch knife. 4-inch blade. 5.3 inch handles, designed by Andrew Demko, made in Taiwan, it says it right there. And it has that new kind of Cold Steel logo. The newest one, I'm assuming. I don't know if they have a newer one. CPM S35VN steel. G10, really thick ass fucking G10 handle scales right here. Well, that's just the handle shit. You can see no liners, nothing. That's how fucking thick it is. Like, this shit feels as thick as the G10 on my Espada XL. And that G10, it feels like you could just club somebody over the fucking head with it. It's so thick. No shit. So yeah, the only metal in there is that the rocker lock, and then there's like some liners to hold it in place. But they stop about like just about how thick the rocker lock is. I took this apart and I forgot how big the liners were in there, but yeah, they're just some little liners right there, like the thickness of it, and everything else is just G10, and the back spacer is, I'm pretty sure it's G10 or polymer or something like that. Yeah. And the weight is actually the same weight as this, surprisingly, even though it's a smaller knife. The Voyager XL is 7.2 ounces. This is 7.2 ounces. Same weight. And this is a foot-long knife, so it's light for its size. This, it's not light at all for its size because see how tiny it is? And it's the same fucking weight. This thing is just a brick. Yeah. It's a beefy, thick knife. I mean, it's literally a sharpened bar of steel with a point. How fucking thick it is. And how it retains that thickness all the way to the point. It's just stupid thick. If you try to slice anything with this, an apple or anything like that, it would just rip the whole goddamn apple in half. Yeah. You can imagine. Okay. So yeah, no liners. G10. OD green G10. S35VN. I bought this knife like December 2021, yeah. Maybe like 3 months ago. Bought it on Amazon. It was like $133. I think they lowered the price now. The MSRP, or like on Blade HQ, they're asking for like $160 for this knife. I would say that's definitely too high. I think 130, 140 is a good price. So I got it for like $133. The ergonomics on here, it's not really, you could kind of push it into a tactical role, but it's more of like just a beefy, overbuilt, outdoors kind of knife. Not really like a survival knife, but I mean, if you had to, I mean, I would rather have a fixed blade than even a thick ass beefy folder like this for a survival knife. But yeah, the ergonomics, it's, you can see the G10, it's kind of blocky, but how it has that finger choil right here, then it has that little, not a 50-50 choil, but whatever the fuck, just a choil on the handle. It's not like on that's like a 50-50 choil, if I'm not mistaken. How it's like half of it is the handle, half of it is the fucking tang of the blade, like that on a Spyderco. So yeah, I wish it was like that, so you don't have to worry about slipping onto the blade, but I've only choked up on that a couple times. I haven't really carried this knife that much, and I'll talk about that later. The texture of it, it's really grippy, but I like grippy G10, like the G10 on like the Spyderco Para 3. I like how grippy that is. It's not as grippy, or it's more grippy than that, but it's not too grippy. It doesn't tear up your pocket really under the pocket clip too bad, even though it's a tight pocket clip compared to that Iron Cross Templar shit. That shit will tear up your pocket or just will pull up your whole goddamn pants. And then the way the pocket clip is shaped, yeah, I don't like that. I think that's kind of stupid the way it dips down right there. It should just be flat, because then you gotta really try to get it over your pocket, slip it into your pocket or whatever the fuck. So yeah, you can imagine how that might be a little bit of a pain in the ass if you have some thick pants or whatever, if you're not using basketball shorts. Let's do a blade comparison, or let me show the thickness of that. I've showed the thickness of this before, but just in case. Alright, so you can see the Voyager is thicker, and even like if you compare just the handle, the individual little like size of the handle scales, yeah, it's thicker too. Here you go, let's see that. This is a Gerber Applegate Fairbairn Combat Folder. Just got this shit. This knife is thicker than that. It's a thick ass knife. See my CRKT M21. Oh shit. Oh, the SR1 is just a little bit thicker. Well, let's compare it with that one. The Gerber is longer, has a longer blade, and has a slightly longer handle. Alright. That is a M1614 SF. Is a Kershaw Link. It's a kind of small little knife. Para 3. Benchmade 940. Dope little knife. And just put the Voyager right there, just for the fuck of it. Put that right there. And Police 4. I love this knife. Right now, this is like my grail knife. Hap 40. Sus 410. Alright. That's enough blade comparisons. The usage on this blade, honestly, I haven't really used it a lot. I'm gonna explain that. The scratches on it, it hides the scratches really well. Let me wipe it off. Got fingerprints and shit on it. It has similar grind lines, kind of like Spyderco, like the Police 4, and just the satin, you know. That's what I have on my Police 4. And I have some scratches on there. I kind of chopped at some wood and shit with this to test it out, and I do kind of have a negative about this knife. You can see it hasn't microchipped or anything like that. You know, some people might say this is abuse, but even seeing how thick this goddamn knife is, well, seeing how thick it is, I would say it should be able to handle some light batoning. And I baton this little log with a stick, maybe that's about, an inch and a half thick. Not what I was chopping through, like what I was batoning it with. Hit it maybe 5 or 6 times. Nothing fucking crazy. I didn't stab it into a fucking tree and stand on it. I didn't put it into a vise and hang some shit off of it. I just batoned it a couple times through a log, and then went to check the lockup. And I was just like, what the fuck? I don't know if you can hear that. I'm not hitting the rocker lock either, look. There's just the slightest amount of blade play. Not side to side, but up and down like a Seki City Spyderco, you know, if you really wear them out and stabbing shit and cutting shit. Or just from the factory, they might be like that. Some Spydercos, the Seki City ones, but never have I ever fucking had a cold steel like that has vertical play. This blade is 2 years old. Never batoned anything with it, but stabbed and chopped the fuck out of shit. Maybe like 1,000 different chops individually with this knife over the time of owning it. And when you adjust the pivot, I mean, that's just something internally that's moving around the liner. I don't know, but there's no play. I think that's just the fucking handle scales that you're hearing, but if you can hear that. But up and down, nothing. This, up and down. You can even, if you have your fucking hand on this, your thumb, you can feel the rocker lock rise when you're shaking it. Yeah, so that's fucking saying something. And the way it's set up, you know, design the rocker lock and the tang of the blade, it's supposed to sink in and have a tighter lockup when it gets worn out. And because of that, how it had that much play after I fucked it up and batoned it, I was like, oh shit, maybe if I chop at it, maybe if I use the blade like that without batoning it how I use this one, maybe it'll kind of correct itself and it will start to sink in more and it'll have a tighter lockup and it'll fix itself. But nope. I went outside recently and took a big ass log and just started chopping at it, not batoning or anything, just chop the fuck out of it like I did with this blade on multiple things, and nothing. It's the exact same. And I've took apart the knife too, I'm sure, and I checked it out and looked at it on the inside, and I don't see anything that I completely fucked up from batoning it those a couple times. So I don't know. I would say a knife this thick, it's literally a sharpened bar of fucking steel with a point at the end of it. Like, you can't baton a couple times with this thing with the triad lock. Like, I shouldn't have to fucking, I know I can do it like that and try to baton, but like, come on, it has a fucking triad lock and it's not a half-inch fucking thick, a third of an inch thick, a quarter-inch thick. I don't fucking know. It's just such a thick-ass blade. I would think it could handle a couple batons, and I just wanted to put it to the test. I'm not somebody that's out there batoning with a fucking folding knife. I don't do that shit, but when I got this and I saw how thick it was and beefy, I was like, fuck it, why not? I'm not going to be batoning with something like this. Fuck no, I would snap the blade off before the lock failed or got any play, I'm sure. But this, I thought I would be able to, and it has that little bit of play, so it's not a deal breaker. I'm going to use the knife. I still carry it, and I wouldn't ever fear the blade folding on me or failing just because of that little bit of play. But everyone who knows cold steels, you know, they're supposed to lock up like a fucking bank vault. Even after chopping and hitting some shit. Maybe if all you do is baton with a knife, then yeah, I can understand it's going to get fucked up and it's going to have some problems. But just a couple batons, you know, out of the box, and then just chopping with it, I wouldn't think it would have that much play. And it's not a huge amount, but for a cold steel, yeah, having that vertical play, I would say it's a lot of play. So yeah, that's a little negative for me. And the washers in here, pretty sure it's Teflon washers, yeah. Like the really thin, paper fucking thin Teflon washers that you can rip if you're not careful. And this Tanto blade, let me just compare these. This is more, I don't know if it's like a Japanese style Tanto. And this if I'm not mistaken. This is like an Americanized Tanto, and this one, you can see how the spine kind of swoops down more towards the tip, and on here, the tip kind of meets up towards the spine on the cold steel, and it's not exactly straight. You can see that one kind of swoops down too, but it's more straight compared to the CRKT one. And honestly, I kind of like the way this one looks better. It looks more aesthetically, but this one, I would say it would work better functionality wise, and that's what you want in a knife. So yeah, I would say this one looks a little more sexy in my opinion, but this one would probably definitely be better for stabbing into shit and definitely prying. This is a thick knife too, but I wouldn't do any prying with that. If I had to, I would say it could handle it probably, but I would use something like this for my first option if I had to pry anything with a folding knife. So they do have a clip point version of this. I'm pretty sure that was the first version, if I'm not mistaken. They had the clip point, and then they came out with this version, and it was like fucking $200, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like 2017 or something they came out with it. And then they lowered the price, I'm sure, to like $160 that it's at now, $130. You can get it in between $130 to $160 depending where you buy it. So yeah, $200. Fuck no, I definitely wouldn't pay $200 for this knife, especially with the S35 VN. Not that it's a shit steel, but I would say everyone can agree it's kind of pushing more into the budget steel. S30V and S35 VN. It's more of the lower end of the high end steels. So if you can get it for $130 or cheaper than that, yeah, I would say fuck yeah. It's a dope ass knife. It's more of a outdoorsy kind of knife, yeah, survival more than tactical, but yeah, I would use it for a tactical knife too because of that. Those finger troils, you can't. I wouldn't say it would be smart to use it like that, but holding it reverse grip, fuck yeah, I would feel comfortable stabbing like that or like that. It just, you wouldn't really. You could cut with this, but it's just so fucking thick. It's like cutting with an axe. So you'd be better off just stabbing with this all day. All right, that's my review. Cold Steel SR1. Later.